Have you ever walked out of a job interview and immediately replayed every single thing you said in your head?
Oh, yes. You start thinking, why did I say that? Or why did I answer that question that way?
Exactly. And sometimes the smallest mistake can stay in your mind for days.
Especially when you really wanted the job.
That is true, because interviews are stressful. You are trying to sound confident, professional, intelligent, and friendly all at the same time.
And when people get nervous, they often make mistakes without realizing it.
Exactly. They talk too much, they talk too little, they arrive late, they forget names, they look at their phone, they complain about old jobs.
And sometimes they say one thing that completely ruins the interview.
That is true, because interviews are not only about your skills, they are also about how you communicate, how you handle pressure, and what kind of impression you leave.
I think that is why so many people struggle with interviews. It's not enough to simply know how to do the job.
Exactly. You also need to know how to present yourself in the best possible way.
And that is something many people never learn.
Yes, schools teach people many things, but they rarely teach people how to speak in interviews, how to answer difficult questions, or how to avoid looking unprofessional.
That is so true. A lot of people learn by making mistakes.
Exactly, and sometimes those mistakes cost them great opportunities.
That is painful.
It is. Imagine losing your dream job because of one bad habit or one careless comment.
That is why this topic is so important.
Exactly, because once you know the worst interview mistakes, you can avoid them.
And that can completely change the way employers see you.
Absolutely. Today, we are going to talk about the biggest and most common interview mistakes people make.
And some of these mistakes may surprise you because they seem small, but they make a huge difference.
That is true. Employers notice everything. The way you walk into the room, the way you shake hands, the way you answer questions, the way you listen.
Even the way you sit.
Exactly, because interviews are about much more than words.
So if you have a job interview coming soon, this episode could save you from making a mistake that costs you the opportunity.
And even if you are not interviewing right now, these tips will help you become more confident in professional situations.
Before we continue, comment below and tell us the worst interview mistake you have ever made.
And do not worry if you have made mistakes before. Everyone has.
Definitely.
The important thing is learning from them.
And if you enjoy these kinds of practical English conversations, subscribe to Talk Easy Daily because we help you improve your English and your confidence at the same time.
And stay with us, because the first interview mistake we are about to talk about is something that can ruin your chances before you even enter the room. One of the biggest interview mistakes you can make is arriving late.
That one sounds obvious, but so many people still do it.
Exactly. Some people think being 5 or 10 minutes late is not a big problem.
Especially if they have a good excuse.
Yes, maybe there was traffic, maybe they got lost, maybe they couldn't find parking.
But the employer doesn't always see it that way.
Exactly. To an employer, being late can make you seem unreliable, disorganized, or careless.
Even if you're normally very responsible.
Exactly, because first impressions happen very quickly. If you arrive late, stressed, and apologizing, you already start the interview with negative energy.
That makes sense. It's hard to feel calm and confident when you're rushing.
Absolutely. That is why it's always better to arrive 10 or 15 minutes early.
Not too early, though.
Right. You don't want to arrive 45 minutes early and make everyone uncomfortable. But 10 minutes early shows that you are prepared and respectful.
And it gives you time to relax.
Exactly. You can take a deep breath, fix your clothes, review your notes, and mentally prepare.
That's such a good tip, because when people rush, they forget things.
Exactly. They forget names, documents, important details, or even what they wanted to say.
So if you have a job interview, always plan for problems.
Yes, leave early. Check the address before the interview day. Think about traffic, parking, elevators, or security at the building.
Because one small delay can create a much bigger problem.
Exactly. And if something unexpected happens, call immediately.
That's important.
Yes, do not wait until you are already late. If you call early and explain politely, the company will usually understand.
Because problems happen to everyone.
Exactly. What matters is how professionally you handle them. Another mistake people make before the interview even begins is dressing badly.
That's a huge one.
Because some people think it doesn't matter what I wear, my skills are more important.
But appearance still matters because it creates an impression.
Exactly. If someone arrives in dirty clothes, wrinkled clothes, or something too casual, it can make them look careless.
Yes, even if they're talented, the employer may think, if this person didn't prepare for the interview, will they prepare for work?
That is such a good point. You don't always need an expensive suit, but you should always look clean, neat, and professional.
So even if the company is casual, you should still make an effort.
Absolutely. It's usually better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed.
I think clothing also affects confidence.
It does. When you look professional, you often feel more professional.
That is so true. If you know you look good, you walk differently.
Exactly. You sit straighter, you speak more confidently, you feel more prepared. So before the interview, check everything.
Yes, make sure your clothes are clean, your shoes are appropriate, and your hair looks neat.
And avoid things that are too distracting.
Exactly. Very strong perfume, too much jewelry, loud colors, or clothing with huge logos can distract people.
You want them to remember your skills, not your outfit.
Exactly. Another huge interview mistake is checking your phone.
Oh no, that is such a bad one.
It really is. Imagine you're talking to someone and suddenly they look down at their phone.
That feels so rude.
Even if you're just checking the time.
Yes, during an interview, your phone should be silent and completely out of sight.
Not on the table.
Definitely not on the table. Even seeing the phone can make it easier to get distracted.
That is true. If it vibrates or lights up, your attention changes immediately.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to feel that you are fully present, because if you can't focus during the interview, they may wonder how focused you will be at work.
Exactly. And here's another mistake people make with phones. What is it?
Walking into the building while texting or talking on the phone.
Oh, wow, that already creates a bad impression.
It does, because the receptionist, the assistant, or even the interviewer may see you before the interview begins.
And first impressions start earlier than people think.
Exactly. The moment you enter the building, people are already noticing your behavior.
So put your phone away and look professional from the beginning.
Exactly, because professionalism starts before the interview even begins.
Another mistake that makes people look unprepared is not researching the company.
That is such a common mistake.
It surprises me because it seems so easy to avoid.
It does, but many people walk into interviews without knowing anything about the company.
That must look really bad.
It does. Imagine the interviewer asks, "What do you know about our company?" And you say, "Honestly, not much."
That sounds terrible.
Exactly. It makes it seem like you do not really care.
And it makes it look like you are applying for every job without thinking.
Exactly. Companies want to feel like you specifically want to work for them.
So people should know the basics.
Yes, you should know what the company does, what services they offer, and maybe a little bit about their values or goals.
And definitely understand the job description.
Absolutely. Because if you do not understand the role, it's very hard to explain why you are the right person for it.
That is such an important point.
Research also helps you answer questions better.
Because you can connect your skills to what the company needs.
Exactly. And it helps you ask smarter questions too.
That makes you look much more professional.
It does. Here's a quick tip for viewers. Before any interview, spend at least 15 minutes looking at the company website, social media, and recent news.
That small amount of preparation can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Because most people do not prepare enough.
And the people who do prepare usually stand out immediately.
Exactly. And stay with us, because next we are going to talk about even more interview mistakes, including talking too much, giving weak answers, and one habit that instantly makes you seem unprofessional. Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is giving answers that are too short.
Oh yes, when the interviewer asks something and the person only says one sentence.
Exactly. Imagine the interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself," and the candidate answers, "I am hardworking and friendly."
That is not enough at all.
Not even close. Short answers make the conversation awkward because the interviewer has to keep pulling information out of you.
And that can make you seem nervous or uninterested.
Exactly. You want your answers to be clear, detailed, and natural.
Not too short, but not too long either.
Exactly. A good answer should include 3 things: your main point, a short explanation, and an example.
That sounds like a really good structure.
It is. For example, if someone asks, "What is one of your strengths?" don't just say, "I am organized."
Explain why.
Exactly. You could say, "One of my strengths is organization. In my last job, I managed several projects at the same time and always finished them before the deadline."
That sounds much stronger.
Exactly. Examples make your answers more believable.
I think many people become so nervous that they forget to explain themselves.
That happens all the time. But remember, the interview is your chance to tell your story.
So don't be afraid to talk about your experiences.
Exactly. Because if you give weak or very short answers, the interviewer may think you are not prepared.
Or that you don't really want the job.
Exactly. But there is another problem too.
What is that?
Some people do the opposite. They talk way too much.
Oh no.
Exactly. The interviewer asks one simple question and suddenly the person is talking for 5 minutes without stopping.
I think nervous people often do that.
They do, because silence feels uncomfortable, so they keep talking and talking.
But then they lose focus.
Exactly. They forget the original question and start talking about things that are not important.
That must make the interviewer lose interest.
It does. Long answers can make you seem disorganized.
So what is the solution?
Try to keep your answers focused. Answer the question directly, explain briefly, and then stop.
That sounds much better.
Imagine the interviewer asks, "Why do you want this job?" You do not need to tell your entire life story.
Just explain why the role interests you and why you think you are a good fit.
Exactly. That sounds much more professional.
Another huge interview mistake is speaking badly about a previous boss or company.
That is one of the worst things you can do, even if the old company was really terrible.
Even then, because the interviewer doesn't know the full story.
So if you sound angry or bitter, it can make you look difficult.
Exactly. Imagine saying something like, "My old boss was lazy and annoying." That sounds really bad.
It does. The interviewer may start thinking, if we hire this person, will they speak about us this way too?
That is such a good point.
You never want to sound negative in an interview.
So what should people say if they left a bad job?
Stay calm and professional. Focus on growth and new opportunities.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of saying, "My old company was terrible," you could say, "I learned a lot there, but I was ready for a new challenge and more opportunities to grow."
That sounds so much better.
Exactly. It's honest, but it still sounds professional.
Another mistake people make is not making eye contact.
That is a very common one, especially when people are nervous.
Exactly. Nervous people often look at the floor, the table, or the wall, but that can make them seem insecure.
It can. Eye contact shows confidence, attention, and respect.
Of course, people should not stare too much.
Right. That would feel uncomfortable, but natural eye contact helps create a connection.
And if there are multiple interviewers?
Try to look at everyone during the conversation,
That makes sense.
because you want everyone to feel included.
I think eye contact is difficult for many people because they are thinking so much about what they want to say.
That's true. But even if you are nervous, try to remember this. The interviewer wants to see confidence.
And good eye contact helps create that impression.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is having bad body language.
Like slouching?
Yes, slouching, crossing your arms, looking bored, or sitting too casually can all make you seem uninterested.
Even if you are actually interested.
Exactly. Body language speaks before you do.
That is such an important point.
Good posture makes you look more confident.
Sit up straight, keep your shoulders relaxed, and try to smile naturally.
Exactly. Small things like nodding when the interviewer is speaking can also help.
Because it shows that you are listening.
Exactly. Employers want people who look engaged and interested.
Another mistake that makes people look rude is interrupting the interviewer.
That is a big one. Some people interrupt because they are excited.
Yes, others interrupt because they are nervous and want to answer quickly, but it still creates a bad impression.
Exactly. Interrupting makes it seem like you are not listening, and listening is a very important part of communication.
Exactly. Employers want people who can listen carefully, follow instructions, and respect others. So even if you are excited to answer, wait until the other person finishes speaking. Exactly. That small habit can make you seem much more professional. Another mistake that surprises me is when people don't ask any questions at the end.
That happens all the time.
The interviewer says, "Do you have any questions for us?" And the candidate just says no.
Exactly. But that can make you seem uninterested.
Because if you really care about the job, you should be curious.
Exactly. Good questions show that you are thinking seriously about the opportunity.
What are some good questions people can ask?
You can ask about the team, the company culture, the biggest challenge in the role, or what success looks like in the first few months.
Those questions sound smart.
They do, and they also help you decide if the company is right for you.
That is true. Interviews are not only about the company choosing you.
Exactly. You are also deciding if you want to work there.
That is such a confident way to think about it.
And stay with us because next we are going to talk about even more interview mistakes, including lying, sounding desperate, and one small habit that instantly makes you seem nervous. Another major interview mistake is lying.
That one seems obvious, but I think many people still do it because they want to impress the interviewer.
Exactly. They lie about their experience, their skills, or even why they left their last job.
Maybe they think it will make them look better.
Yes, but the problem is that lies are very easy to discover.
Especially if the interviewer asks more questions.
Exactly. Imagine someone says, "I am fluent in English," and then the interviewer starts speaking quickly in English.
That would be very embarrassing.
It would. Or imagine saying you know how to use a certain software, but then you cannot answer basic questions about it.
That would destroy trust immediately.
Exactly. Employers do not expect candidates to know everything.
But they do expect honesty.
Yes, it's much better to say, "I have basic experience with that, but I'm learning more."
That sounds much more professional.
Exactly. Honest people seem more trustworthy.
And trust is one of the most important things in an interview.
Absolutely. Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is sounding too desperate.
What do you mean by that?
Some people act like they need the job so badly that they lose all confidence.
They say things like, "I really need this job," or "I will do absolutely anything."
Exactly. And while it's okay to show enthusiasm, you do not want to sound desperate.
Because desperation can make people uncomfortable.
Exactly. Employers want people who believe in themselves.
So instead of sounding desperate, people should focus on showing why they are a good fit.
Exactly. Be positive, show excitement, but also show confidence.
That makes a lot of sense.
Another mistake people make is using weak language.
Like saying, "I think maybe I could do that."
Exactly. Or saying, "I'm not really sure, but I guess I could try."
That sounds very uncertain.
It does. Weak language makes you sound like you don't believe in yourself.
Even if you actually have the skills.
Exactly. Instead of saying, "I think I'm pretty good at teamwork," say, "One of my strengths is teamwork."
That sounds much stronger.
Exactly. Strong language creates a stronger impression.
But people should still be careful not to sound arrogant.
Absolutely. You want confidence, not arrogance.
That's an important difference.
It is. Confidence says, "I believe in myself." Arrogance says, "I'm better than everyone else."
And employers usually don't like arrogance.
Exactly. Another mistake that instantly makes people seem nervous is speaking too quietly.
Oh yes, when people are nervous, their voice becomes very soft.
Exactly. The interviewer should not have to ask you to repeat yourself again and again.
Because that makes the conversation uncomfortable.
Exactly. Speaking clearly and loudly enough shows confidence.
Not shouting, of course.
Right. You don't want to sound aggressive. You just want to sound clear and easy to understand.
I think this is especially important for people speaking English in interviews.
Absolutely. Many people worry too much about perfect grammar.
But sometimes the bigger problem is confidence.
Exactly. Even simple English can sound professional if you speak clearly and confidently.
That is such a good reminder.
Another habit that makes people look nervous is using too many filler words.
Like, like, and you know.
Exactly. A few filler words are normal.
Especially when someone is nervous.
Yes, but if every sentence is full of filler words, it can make you sound unprepared.
Because it sounds like you don't know what you want to say.
Exactly. One simple trick is to slow down.
Because when people speak too fast, they use more filler words.
Exactly. It's better to pause for 1 second and think than to fill every silence with
That is such a useful tip.
Silence is not always bad. A short pause can actually make you sound more thoughtful.
That is true. Pausing sounds much better than sounding confused.
Exactly. Another mistake that hurts people in interviews is forgetting to bring important documents.
That would make someone look very unprepared.
Exactly. Imagine arriving at the interview and realizing you forgot your resume.
That would be terrible.
It would. Even if the company already has your resume, bringing extra copies shows preparation.
What else should people bring?
A notebook, a pen, copies of your resume, references if needed, and anything related to the job.
That sounds very professional.
Exactly. Being prepared shows that you take the opportunity seriously.
And it probably makes you feel more relaxed, too.
Absolutely, because when you know you have everything you need, you feel much more confident.
Another mistake people make is not smiling.
That's a very common one.
I think some people are so nervous that they look serious the whole time.
Exactly. They think serious means professional.
But looking too serious can make you seem cold or uncomfortable.
Exactly. Employers want people who seem friendly, too.
So smiling naturally can help a lot.
Absolutely. You don't need to smile every second.
That would look strange.
Exactly. But a natural smile at the beginning, during positive moments, and at the end can completely change the atmosphere.
That is such a simple thing, but it makes a huge difference.
It really does. Another mistake people make is ending the interview badly.
What do you mean?
Some people finish the interview with very low energy.
Like standing up quickly and saying, "Okay, bye."
Exactly. That creates a weak final impression.
And the ending matters just as much as the beginning.
It does. You want to leave with confidence.
So what should people do?
Smile, thank the interviewer for their time, and say something positive like, "I enjoyed learning more about the role."
That sounds much better.
Exactly, because the last few seconds are often what people remember.
That is such an important point.
Imagine two candidates with similar skills.
Okay.
One candidate leaves quickly without saying much.
And the other candidate smiles, says thank you, and leaves confidently.
Exactly. The second person will usually leave a much stronger impression.
That makes a lot of sense.
And stay with us, because next we are going to talk about the final interview mistakes people make, including forgetting to follow up, acting too comfortable, and one mistake that can destroy your chances in just a few seconds. Another mistake that can ruin an interview is acting too comfortable too quickly.
What do you mean by that?
Some people walk into an interview and act like they are already close friends with the interviewer.
Oh no.
Exactly. They use too much slang, joke too much, sit too casually, or speak in a way that feels too informal.
I think they are trying to seem relaxed.
Yes, but there is a difference between being relaxed and being unprofessional.
That is such an important difference.
For example, if the interviewer asks, "How are you today?" you should not answer with something like, "Honestly, I'm exhausted. I almost didn't come."
That sounds terrible.
It does. Or imagine someone saying, "Yeah, my old job was a mess, but whatever."
That definitely does not sound professional.
Exactly. You can be friendly and show personality, but you should still sound respectful.
Because an interview is not the same as talking to your friends.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is using inappropriate language.
Like bad words?
Yes, even small slang expressions can sound unprofessional in an interview.
Especially if you don't know the company culture yet.
Exactly. It's always safer to speak clearly and professionally.
Another mistake that can ruin an interview very quickly is not listening carefully.
That happens all the time. People are so focused on what they want to say that they stop listening.
And then they answer the wrong question.
Exactly. The interviewer asks one thing, and the candidate answers something completely different.
That must be frustrating for the interviewer.
It is, because it makes it seem like you're not paying attention.
So people should slow down and really listen before they answer.
Exactly. And if you don't understand the question, it's okay to ask for clarification.
That is much better than giving the wrong answer.
Absolutely. You can say something like, "Could you please repeat the question?" Or, "Do you mean in my current job or my previous job?"
That actually sounds thoughtful and professional.
Exactly. Employers would rather repeat the question than listen to an answer that doesn't make sense.
Another mistake people make is focusing too much on salary too early.
That's a big one.
Because, of course, salary matters.
Absolutely, salary is important, but if the first thing you ask about is money, vacation days, or benefits, it can make you seem selfish.
Like you only care about what the company can give you.
Exactly. Employers also want to know what you can give to the company.
So it's better to wait until later in the process to talk about salary.
Usually, yes. Early in the interview, focus on your skills, your experience, and how you can help the team.
That makes a much better impression.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is not showing enthusiasm.
Really?
Yes, some candidates answer every question with very low energy.
Like, yeah, I think I could probably do that.
Exactly. They sound bored, tired, or uninterested.
Even if they really want the job.
Exactly. But the interviewer cannot read your mind.
So if you're excited about the opportunity, you need to show it.
Exactly. Smile, use positive language, and speak with energy.
Because enthusiasm is attractive.
It is. Employers like people who seem motivated and excited to be there.
Another mistake people make is focusing too much on their weaknesses.
That's very common.
They say things like, I'm terrible with technology, or I'm not good at speaking.
Exactly. Of course, you should be honest, but you should also focus on your strengths.
And if you mention a weakness, explain how you're improving it.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying, I'm bad at public speaking, you could say, public speaking used to be difficult for me, but I've been improving by practicing presentations.
That sounds much more professional.
Exactly. It shows self-awareness and effort.
Another mistake people make is forgetting to follow up after the interview.
That's such a missed opportunity.
Because many people think the interview is over once they leave.
Exactly. But sending a short thank you message can leave a very positive impression.
Really?
Absolutely. A simple email saying, thank you for your time, I enjoyed learning more about the role, can help you stand out.
That sounds very professional.
It is, and because many candidates don't do it, it can make you stand out even more.
That's an easy thing to do.
Exactly. It only takes a few minutes, but it shows appreciation and professionalism.
Another mistake people make is not preparing for common questions.
Yes, some people think they can just walk into the interview and answer everything naturally.
But then they get surprised by simple questions.
Exactly. Questions like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job? Or, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Those questions are so common.
They are, and if you prepare your answers in advance, you'll feel much more confident.
Because you already know what you want to say.
Exactly. Preparation reduces anxiety.
And people who prepare usually sound much more professional.
That's true. Here's a quick tip for viewers. Before an interview, practice your answers out loud.
Not only in your head.
Exactly. When you speak out loud, you notice what sounds natural and what sounds awkward.
That's actually really smart.
And you can even record yourself.
That sounds scary.
It can feel strange at first, but it helps a lot. You can hear your voice, notice your body language, and improve your answers.
That's actually really smart.
And now we have reached one of the biggest interview mistakes of all.
What is it?
Giving up after one bad interview.
That is such an important point.
Because many people have one bad interview and immediately think, I'm terrible at interviews.
But interviews are a skill.
Exactly. And like any skill, you improve with practice.
So one bad interview doesn't mean you're a failure.
Not at all. Even very successful people have had bad interviews.
That's comforting.
It should be, because every interview teaches you something.
Maybe you learn to speak more clearly, prepare better answers, or feel more confident.
Exactly. The important thing is to keep going.
Because the more interviews you do, the easier they become.
Absolutely. And if one interview goes badly, don't let that destroy your confidence.
Learn from it and move forward.
Exactly. Because one interview doesn't define your future.
That is such a powerful reminder.
So let's quickly recap the biggest interview mistakes people make.
Arriving late, dressing badly, checking your phone, not researching the company, and giving answers that are too short.
Talking too much, speaking badly of old jobs, not making eye contact, interrupting and not asking questions,
Lying, sounding desperate, using weak language, speaking too quietly, and using too many filler words.
forgetting documents, not smiling, ending the interview badly, acting too comfortable, and not following up.
That's a lot of mistakes.
It is, but the good news is that every one of these mistakes can be fixed.
And sometimes fixing just one or two mistakes can completely change the way employers see you.
Exactly, because professionalism isn't about being perfect.
It's about showing respect, confidence, preparation, and effort.
Exactly, and if you remember that, you'll already be ahead of many other candidates.
Before we finish, comment below and tell us which interview mistake you think is the worst.
And if this episode helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who has an interview coming up soon.
Because one small tip could help someone get the job they've been dreaming about.
And here at Talk Easy Daily, we want to help you improve your English and your confidence at the same time.
Thank you so much for listening.
And remember, confidence doesn't come from being perfect.
It comes from being prepared.
See you in the next episode.